Welcome to Joncast. We are here today at Fairfield Pool, and I'm joined here by Jonathan Chapman.
Hello, everyone in the world.
And my name's John Weaver, and yes, today we're here at the pool, and we just want to talk a little bit about Marvel versus DC. So, Jonathan, let's start this off just a little bit. Who is your favorite out of the two, movies-wise?
Movie-wise, it's simple. For the last few years, it's been Marvel. The way they portrayed their characters, the way they've been able to develop their characters, there's more to show, and we've seen that with Civil War.
So Civil War is your first example, and so tell us a little bit what Civil War meant to you, and do you think that is the epitome of comic book movies at the point, or is there any other comic books movies out there that have surpassed Civil War?
Well, at the moment, I think number one is Civil War, but Guardian of the Galaxy is also a prime example of having B-class characters come into the forefront and showing that those characters can be just as important, which we don't see with DC, where you usually see Batman, Superman, side characters. With Civil War, we introduced the new Spider-Man. We introduced, Vision, which we've seen him once before, but you really get to see him and Scarlet Witch have a little love quarrel. Black Panther, you get to see more of Bucky. So it's very exciting, and we have babies crying.
So I would have to say the biggest fault that is with Marvel actually would probably be their villains, and I've said this in a prior video. If you're interested in watching that, I have a little rant that I do, and where I just go on a complete rant on how MCU villains. This was right before Avengers 2 came out, Age of Ultron, and I was really hoping that Ultron was really going to step up the villain game for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but I was really, really disappointed by that.
Really?
I think Ultron was there, but he wasn't there, and so. Yes, once again, we are at a pool right now, so if you hear people in the background.
Local pool, there is people who know we're filming.
We're guerrilla filming here, so.
We took over the pool.
Yeah, the Joncast takeover. So I'm gonna give my why DC I think personally has. DC is what you would call the grandfather of I wouldn't say they started a cinematic universe like the MCU where it's connected. I think you can't call it a universe until it's connected. But I will say, the trilogy that was done. Well, first you got the original movies, the Tim Burton, and then you got the '90s Batman movies, which they were very comic booky. But without those movies, you probably wouldn't have the appeal of superhero movies, and it really didn't take off. And Marvel kind of jumped in the game with Blade. Basically trying to, I think they were trying to avoid using their big guys just yet because they weren't sure how to use them.
It's very interesting, Blade being the first of the characters that we used as Marvel, which was, I think, Batman and Superman, again, were very early as they had shows, and then you had movies, which were good until, I think, the last one of the Superman trilogy was I believe is pretty awful. It didn't really go much of anywhere.
Are you talking about Dark Knight Rises?
Yeah. Well, I love Tim Burton to death.
I mean, that's not Tim Burton. That's Christopher Nolan.
No, Christopher.
What's poppin'?
Well, I'm talking about early on with Christopher Nolan. Not Chris. God.
Tim Burton.
With Tim Burton, it was very comic booky and it was cool for what it was. But
it was Jerry Bruckheimer,
it was
right,
very, very goofy, and yeah, with him too, very goofy.
They got goofier. Like the original ones had a certain goth, had a certain feel that maybe.
It worked. I mean, it worked for what it was. It's 808.
All right, we're good.
It worked for the time it was, being all dark colors, certain light colors. Over dramatic, silly, and they tried to
comic booky.
Yeah, they made it almost too comic booky. Where by the time we spent with Christopher Nolan's Batman, you realized how far-fetched the other Batman was.
And yeah, when you get to the Christopher Nolans, it's very grounded in reality. Well, I say that there's there's some unbelievable points in it with like the fear talks and stuff. But I thought that it really brought in the age of trying to make the comic book heroes realistic in a way, and
Which
you
we've been doing for the last few years.
and you can see Marvel definitely is sticking with that too. To an extent, I would say, as far as aliens crash, Avengers movie are a little bit over the top in a way, but stuff like the whole espionage story in Captain America was a little more believable as a story sense. Maybe not so much the Iron Man 3 movie, which was a little ridiculous.
Well, sometimes we forget, like even Dark Horse with Hellboy is still. I mean, it was early on in 2000. They did a very good job with Hellboy, and I think Hellboy is now with DC. Isn't it subculture?
I think it might be. I'm not sure.
But even movies like that can show you like at certain times are very good. And the first and second Superman movie were fantastic, I believe. I mean, I watched all three consecutively, and they were very fun and very good for their time. And I mean, you get spoiled with movies like Star Wars where you get to see what happens in the 70s when you really work hard. But with some of the superhero movies, like some of the mess ups, like the Captain America movie, the Fantastic Four movie that happened in the 90s that got shut down. No one barely saw it. You had a lot of flops with Marvel and DC where you just didn't have the technology to make these movies worth a damn as far as we see it now.
Definitely. While we're doing this, I'm gonna actually go to the Joncast community. If you haven't been, tell them how they can get onto the Joncast community.
Well, you can go to Facebook and go to Joncast community.
Type it in the search bar.
Type in the search bar. We are always updating. We always have the latest news. We are always having discussions. Like today, we had a discussion today. What we're having right now with the Marvel and DC movie, the cinematic universe, and kind of having a discussion. And what the main thing is right now is everybody's agreeing with us as far as Marvel right now is leading only because all the characters have had such a long time to get to this point with Marvel. And DC, they're just chunking heroes at us really fast with Batman versus Superman. We saw Cyborg, we saw The Flash, we saw Aquaman, we saw Wonder Woman. All these characters, one movie, nothing else we've seen about them except for one movie, and you have 4 new superheroes, and that's a lot to take in one movie.
Yeah, let me just read what some of our Joncast members were saying on Facebook. John Montoya, fellow Joncaster, he says, easy, modern day Marvel, before that DC. Quinn Cooperwood says, is this a question? Without Batman, DC has nothing. That's in any era. And then you have Quinn Cooperwood also said, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles has a better record than DC. How do you feel about that?
It's funny. I work at Target, and I actually saw there's like a third film, the Ninja Turtles, and there's actually an extra turtle in there.
I think it's the second film.
Oh no, the second one was when they went to like old.
Oh, you're talking about the old one. Yeah. I know that one. And then Rose Moore says, current universes, Marvel. They have a solid vision and it works. It builds well, fits well, etc. DC is all over the place, and movies are divisive. They threw in a huge showdown movie way too early. They aren't planning properly. Adam Benson says, if DC fits in the rest of their current movies with Nolan's Batman films, DC would be at least out on a competitive scale with Marvel, but DC has their movie all over the place. The one great thing DC has going for is Ben Affleck as Batman. He nails the character. Yes. Currently, Marvel movies are way ahead of the game. Now DC TV shows take the lead in that perspective, whereas Marvel doesn't do as well in the TV show department. Besides Netflix. And Ryan L. Mundi says, Marvel MCU definitely wins the point for me on the movie side, but DC gets the point on television side with the multiverse and series crossovers. But then there's exception of Marvel's Netflix series, which is technically TV, and those are stellar. And then we got one more before we go back. Jeff Niven. Marvel took their time and planned out which movies which they had ability to do them, and did some amazing castings on a lot of them. Plus, they are giving the audience new characters, some we all know and love, and never thought they would have their own movies. And DC keeps recycling the same characters. Honestly, how many Batmans and Supermans do we need? I think DC got a grasp on a TV series, but aren't good at telling a story in the short time frame like a movie. Of course, there will always be few talks. Well, I couldn't read. I missed that one, but I agree with that. Any last words on the subject, Marvel versus DC? So who do you think's winning, Marvel versus DC? And give your reasoning.
Okay, Marvel, because Civil War had so many characters in there. I mean, I could
Spider-Man,
Spider-Man, Ant-Man. Yeah, I could go.
Giant Man.
I don't want to go through the whole list, but there's a lot, and they made it work. They made it work very well. I have a lot of hope for the DC universe, though.
Definitely.
DC is very good at making god-like characters, superheroes that have talents far beyond some of the Avengers ever will. And I hope that sooner or later we can take a grasp on that and move forward. But for right now, Marvel is leading it by light years with the list they have right now of movies that are coming out, like the Black Panther and Volume 2 of Guardians of the Galaxies and Infinity Wars. I mean, come on, we're set for goal, and we're talking about another Iron Man movie, and that's awesome. I mean, I'm so excited for that.
I will say this: Marvel is a point ahead in my book, just 1 point. They win that one extra point with Batman versus Superman versus Civil War, but I have not seen the Ultimate Edition of Batman vs. Superman, so I hold my judgment till I see that.
The rated R version.
Yeah, the complete, and they're supposed to reveal more story, and it might make a lot more sense. So maybe we're missing, because apparently people watch Watchmen, right? And the Watchmen Ultimate Edition gets so much more in depth,
I
then
got to see the extended
and then
version.
people say that that's like it's a great movie after that. So maybe Batman vs Superman just needs to be the full length to be truly appreciated. But besides that, we got a Joker coming, and Joker and Suicide Squad. I think that either will redeem DC or sink DC.
I'm hoping it does what it did to Guardians of the Galaxies and bring a lot of B-class heroes or villains, whatever you want to call them, and bring them to the forefront. Bring them to the place.
We get more Ben Affleck Batman in Suicide Squad, which is
the bulky, big Batman that everybody's scared of. Like, I love the new Batman.
And you know what? Here's the thing. You know, everybody's saying, "Oh, Batman. They only have Batman or Superman." Hey, it works. So keep making Batman stuff. That's what I say. But I think DC is evolving a new. They're behind, yes, and they had to make Batman vs Superman and cram all those in together to jumpstart this. So maybe it wasn't the best way to do it, but
when we're doing it, we're diving. Hey, we are diving in right
exactly.
now.
And so I say every Marvel +1 right now, but that was only a battle, right? The war is not over.
The war isn't over.
So if you guys appreciate these little videos and want us to do more of them, please I don't want to be that douchebag that says subscribe and point below, but yeah.
So, hey, but subscribe
and
below.
Yeah. And if you really like these videos, comment in the section below. If you want to tell us who you think's the true winner, Marvel versus DC, or you think DC just got is coming back in round 2, let us know in the comments below, and I'll try to respond to them.
And please, we are going to be featured. We're going to a lot of cons this year. We have had a lot of bookings. You're going to see us a lot out. Continue following us. You're going to see a lot of entertaining things. A lot of talking to panels, talking to artists, talking.
We're on panels now,
so these cons. I mean, these people run the con. We want to be with them. We want to know what they know. We want to party with them. We want to talk to them. We want to get to the meat of nerdism.
Yes, exactly,
right?
Exactly. So, we're Joncast, and we'll be relaunching our podcast here shortly, so you'll be able to get audio, but we're going to be doing, hopefully, at least a video a week from here on out, guys. And really, if you really want us to make more videos, more than once a week, like our stuff, and leave comments that say you want us to make more videos.
Give us ideas of what you want to talk about.
Yes, and we got some cool stuff planned for you guys, and this has been Joncast. We'll see you around.